I think so. At the moment, I'm just auditioning for like anything I can. I don't have an agent. I don't have a proper like show reel, video reel, which are kind of essentials that you need if you're going to be auditioning for big things like Netflix shows, BBC, etc. But I'm literally like I've just started this month like committing, I suppose, to acting as a career. So I'm just kind of building up my portfolio at the moment.
Yeah. And how's that feeling for you building up that portfolio? How do you feel about that when you're building? Is it something that you're, how do you feel about it? Are you excited? Are you motivated? Do you feel obligated to audition, and do you feel pressured, or how do you feel when you go to auditions and when you're pursuing the auditions?
I think mainly excited to be honest. Like at first, when I was like, I'm definitely sort of gonna fully commit into this, I was obviously apprehensive because of the sort of financial instability and the uncertainty in general that come with that sort of career. But at the same time, I was like, ultimately, this is what I want to do. I'm not going to settle for another path when I know that I'm not going to be happy in that, if that
Mm,
makes sense.
yeah,
And so
absolutely.
I think yeah, I think from there comes the motivation and comes, even though you might have anxiety going towards an audition, or you might think, oh, I've got six this week, like I can't do it, I'm feeling overwhelmed. You just sort of power through and you kind of live in the moment and you forget that anxiety and you think, oh, okay, but that shows that I care about this and I really want to do this.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, use that, I guess.
100%. You spoke about your financial instability. That's something that you're quite like it gives you, you're quite scared of that part, and that the fact that there's no certainty within the industry. What responsibilities do you have at the moment?
I think, well, for me personally, I've just had a bit of a rocky year last year. I graduated in July, and then pretty much instantly after that, I was diagnosed with cancer, which meant
Oh,
that I wasn't able to work. Yeah, I
yeah.
couldn't work for about 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in terms of like responsibility, I've not got any caring responsibilities for other people. I'm living at home with my mother, so I don't have to, pay rent or anything, which definitely takes the pressure off.
Mm.
Um, but there's also that kind of fear because I don't have as much sort of savings from like a previous job or something that I might have had if I'd been working for the past 6 months.
Mm. Are you in treatment for that? Has it, are we, what's the diagnosis around that? If you want to speak on anything to do with that.
Yeah, it was lymphoma, but I've finished treatment now and I'm in remission, so it's
Thank
all good
you.
on that front.
Thank you. Good, good, good. I'm so pleased to hear that. I'm very, very
Thank
pleased to
you.
hear that. So you live at home with your mum, so you haven't
Yeah,
got any financial strains. So you are in the best position of your life right now. How old are you, Mia?
yeah, 21.
Oh my gosh. You live in this is the time. So,
Yeah,
okay. So you put down that, okay, so you are worried about the financial stability of this, stability. Are you thinking about that more so for further on down the line? Or are you
I
thinking about
think
an income now? I get that.
yeah, I think it's kind of a bit of both because obviously with acting,
Mm,
perhaps unlike most careers, you can't there are lots of things that you need to do. Like you want to invest in classes, you want to get headshots. Well, you sort of need headshots, which are
mm,
about like 250 quid for a
yeah.
session, you
Mm,
know. And some people pay to get their show reel done, which is God knows how much. Like there are so many expenses that kind of feel necessary and some of them are necessarily really if you want to get into it and you're serious about acting. And that's
100%.
I suppose is kind of what I worry about as well as the future and wanting to move out and things like that as well.
Yeah, yeah, because you're going to want to do all of those things. Have you thought about what a life would look like if you created some form of balance to take the pressure off you auditioning, 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 and then you could Have you ever thought what that would look like if you created balance? So getting a job that would generate an income part-time, not full-time, so you're still able to
Mm,
go to your auditions. You would sacrifice the not being able to go to every single thing because your time isn't all free now. But have you ever considered getting something part-time?
yeah, definitely. I think one of the things that stress me out is obviously hospitality is the usual option that people go for.
Yeah.
But in the past, for about 5 years, I've worked in hospitality and I'm just a bit like, oh, I don't want to do that much long. I know obviously if that's what I have to do, then that's what I have to do. But I would personally prefer to do something that's arts related, even for that job as well as the acting.
Yeah, that's totally doable. So, what sort of jobs are out there that would connect so that what sort of jobs are out there that you could list now or think of that are connected to the arts in some way?
I suppose like social media management for a theatre or for a sort of creative company.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you good at social media?
Okay. I don't fully know the ins and outs and all the kind of data logging and all that you have to do, but in terms of just posting and kind of putting colours and the aesthetic side, I guess, together, I think I'm good at that.
Mm. What about like a steward in a theatre or hospitality
Hmm.
in a theatre? Like you're still
I
connected.
definitely, yeah, I
Mm.
definitely consider that as well. But I think I don't know where I live. It's so difficult to find jobs like that. Like there will be about one or two advertised within a month, it feels like. And if there are those roles available in the arts, it's always kind of chief executive, this, that, and the other, rather than sort of entry level positions.
Entry level positions. What like is the area that you live in quite quiet? So there's
Not really. I live near Liverpool, which is you'd think there'd be loads of jobs available, but I've really struggled to find some.
do you drive?
No.
Okay, so you're sort of limited in terms of getting around, or would
Yeah,
you?
somewhat.
Yeah, yeah. So have you, when was is this something that you've been considering? Like, have you been actively looking for part-time jobs? Is this something that you've been
I
doing or?
think Yeah, I've definitely the sort of start of like the mid between like now and January, so like mid-January,
Mm,
I was looking and then I kind of stopped for a bit because obviously I've kind of just come out of recovery for cancer.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I didn't want to put too much pressure on myself.
Of course.
But yeah.
Mm. What would be interesting though would be to see what that would look like, I think, for you, because you clearly are passionate about acting. But it's just that financial. I know exactly what you mean because sort of pursued a career in acting, but not to the extent where I continued with it. But I know exactly what you mean in terms of you need money for headshots, you need money to get around, you need
Um,
the time to be able to audition. You need a show reel. A lot of the show reel I created myself, so I'm good. I'm quite techie, so I was able to, take a video from that audition or take a video from that and put it all together. I just created it myself and the headshots as well. But like you say, when you want to get to the next level, you have to invest. It's just
yeah.
something that is required. But the money in that you need is to fund your acting pursuit almost. I 100% get that. So having that balance to take care of your finances and pursuing the acting side of things. I just think once we remove that desperation, and I'm not saying that you're desperate, but if it's the sole thing that you're focusing on and there's issues within it, sometimes it's nice to take the pressure off so that your focus isn't, solely on acting and getting that audition and making, oh, if I don't get that audition, that means I'm not going to be able to get that, £500, or I'm not going to be. it takes that pressure off it completely.
Mhm.
So, do you feel as though getting a job will fit the situation of financial stability? Do you feel like it will, or do you feel like it will take away from your passion?
I guess that's kind of the thing that I've been trying to work out whether it'll be worth it or not. I definitely think ultimately it will be necessary because, like you say, there are so many expenses that if you're serious about acting, you kind of need to commit to. Um, but I think I worry because obviously coping with the sort of side effects of like the chemotherapy, not to go too much into that, but it's like I just feel quite tired more than you would in sort of normal everyday conditions.
Mm,
And I worry that I don't know, whereas now it might take me longer than most people to film a self-tape and do all of that.
mm,
I worry that if I was working, say, 3, 4 days a week, then I
mm,
would, I don't know, it would massively reduce the amount that I could do, and I'd just be even more exhausted from, particularly if it was something like hospitality, being on my feet all day, you know.
mm, yeah, because I think the priority at the moment is you
Mm,
and making sure that you are in a position where you're able to give 100%. And if you've only just come out of remission, then there's things that are going to be still going on with your body that haven't fully sort of clicked back into place yet. So maybe focusing on you is the only thing that you need to be focused on this precise moment. It's not that your dream
mm,
is over. It's not that your dream is, like you said, it's gonna might take you a little bit, and it might take you a bit of extra time to do this or an extra time to do that. You don't want to exhaust yourself.
yeah, exactly.
Like if you're not fully 100%, how are you able to give your best? And maybe getting a part-time job and doing something that is low level energy, something where you're not on your feet all day, something like social media for a theatre company or anything else that you think of that you would enjoy would be really beneficial to you at the moment, not
Yeah,
just as a means of this is what I've got to do because it's gonna do this for my acting, but it's more so gonna take care of you at the moment as well. So you can sort of, I don't know, maybe create a stash or a pot of money that you can then say, okay, that I can do headshots, I can go here, I can go there. Sometimes I think that we have to take a step back to go forward, and
mm,
it's not. Let me rephrase that. Sometimes we have to pause to go forward, not back, pause. Um, and when you're very, very passionate about something, you can't see why that would make sense. Why would I want to why would I want to pause this for? Why would I want to put a hold? You feel like you're putting on hold, like, but you are 21 years old and you still living with your mom, no responsibilities. She's probably really looking after you as well with you just coming out of remission. That's exactly where you need to be. And getting a part-time job to maybe get you out, a bit of socialness as well. Getting those social skills. I don't know if you got, are you quite would you say you're an introvert or an extrovert?
extrovert, definitely.
Okay. So have you, has the social gone down, or have you always sort of been in the mix?
I think obviously, given my circumstances, like it definitely went down during that time because my immunity was basically non-existent and I couldn't really see my friends and
You're
stuff. But it's on the rise again now, which is
on the
great. And I
rise.
think, yeah, and I think part of the reason I like auditioning, especially in person, is that you get to meet not only other people who are really kind, whatever, but passionate people who are into the arts. And as someone who, like, all of my friends are doing law or medicine or physics or something, it's like it's not every day that I get to have those interactions with other people who are so passionate about acting, directing, etc.
So you have like-minded people when you go to go to the auditions. What would a life look like, Mia, if you were to completely say, do you know what? All right, there's not a lot of clarity. I find this very thrilling. I find this very exciting. The fact that there is no clarity, there is no security when it comes to earning. What would that look like? How would you feel about that? And just saying, do you know what? 21 years old, living at home with my mum, no responsibilities. I don't want to get a part-time job. I want to continue acting. I want to continue my passion, regardless of what if it's stable or not. How do you feel about that?
I think I think in the short term it would be great because obviously like I'm currently playing for acting classes. That's like the main sort of place that my money's going. If there was kind of one expense to group that into. But I think there would get to a point where, because right now I'm only auditioning for like small films or like independent directors,
Mhm.
student films, stuff like that. So it's not like I really need to have like the TikTok headshots and this excellent show reel and all the rest of it. But as my career progresses and as I want to kind of get into bigger opportunities, I think not having a job and all my money kind of going on that train to Manchester or going to that, thing in London, like it's not going to be sustainable. And I kind of want to start pre-planning, which I guess is kind of why I'm saying that I'm thinking about getting a part-time job
Mm,
because I'm going to need that, if not now, then at least in a couple of months' time.
yeah, exactly. Otherwise, you'll sort of be living on the never never in
Mm.
circles. So you'll be waiting for to get paid for that to put into that and get wait. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's almost like, okay, there's no security as such. Me personally, I think there's never the security. We create it, don't we? We create it. We create security. We create that, and whatever that looks like. Some would say that you have the security of no responsibilities, but the security for you is making sure that you can afford what you need to when that time comes to up
Mm.
level your skill set. But I was going to say to you though, you saying about like you're going to need it for the future. Okay, I get that, but you are still quite young, 21 years old. So what do you need right now though? Do you need that now?
I guess not, but I think as an independent person, like I want to be able to live in my own place, possibly move down south permanently because I went to university in Brighton. So I'd like to kind of preferably go back down south, partly because a lot of my friends live there, and partly because obviously London, there are so many more jobs available,
Yeah.
and there's a lot more happening. So I think that's kind of a big thing on my mind. And if I didn't have um the diagnosis and everything, and if I didn't go that through that, in those 6 months, I think I would have by now have moved out, and be
Mm,
living down south or at least somewhere else. And I think that kind of plays on my mind a lot
mm. If you would have already moved out, how would you have done that if you're not financially stable?
because I had some savings from working throughout uni and I
Uh-huh.
would have kept working anyway because obviously I'd have more energy and everything, so that would be feasible.
So you would have done that. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
still on the cards for you then, isn't it? So really getting a part-time job or whatever job for you is really important. It is. It's really important to you right now. And you sometimes we think, I'm very passionate about something, so therefore it all has to happen now. And that's not true. I keep on saying you're 21 because you are so young and you got all the time. You really have. And just because it doesn't happen for you now doesn't mean that your passion is lesser than or your goals to achieve to be an actor is ever going to go away. If it's something that you truly want to do, it will always be there when you're 50, when you're
Yeah.
40. It's just a case of what do you want to do right now? And you can still keep it alive in many different ways. by still auditioning, by still doing, all right, you might not be able to attend every single audition, but I suppose that's where the sacrifice comes in, that you actually primary, it sounds to me like you really, really want some form of income so that you can actually so that you can actually do things, so that you can move, so that you can afford things. And because you haven't got that right now, and acting isn't going to give you that right now, then you have to make a choice. This is what I'm going to do. And then when you're able to switch over and fully commit to acting, then you'll know.
Mm.
But you're sometimes you can't serve two things at once. Sometimes I say that because I just do believe in balance. So you can, but acting is a bit wishy-washy. You don't know if you're going to get the job. There are no guarantees, but it is exciting though, isn't it?
I think that's what it is. I think I'm a bit of like a thrill seeker. Like
Yeah,
I kind of like the instability. Like I know, I know it's not
yeah,
necessarily secure or like a stable job that your parents want you to get into or whatever, but I like that.
yeah, yeah. But there's nothing wrong with making sure that this is sorted over here and this is still alive. As long as you
Mm,
keep it alive in some way, shape, or form, what's wrong with getting a job and pursuing this as well? That's what I say.
mm.
We don't have to go all in and think, okay, this is what we've got to do. We can't do anything else. We've got to focus on this. Don't want to get a job. Don't want to work for. You can do both. If one thing serves you right now better than the other, hey, get the job, save the money. You can still do acting. Bish, bash, bosh. That's how I see it.
I
Do
think
you?
that's a good point.
Yeah. You can there's balance, and I think that with social media and a lot of people on social media preach, you're young, go all in, do everything, and I agree. That's why I posed the question to you. How would that feel for you to just be, because you're in a great position, Mia, still being at home? Because when you come out here in these streets and you're having to rent, or you got mortgages and bills, different story, whole different ball game, and you no longer have a choice. You have to take care of your responsibilities. But that's why I pose the question to you. What would that look like if you were just to say, forget the job, I'm going to go all in on acting? But there's things that you want to do. And if you are desperate about getting acting jobs, then that desperation turns into separation.
Mm.
So what happens is when you take the pressure off the desperation, you create more of a flow for the acting to actually work. Sometimes when you're focusing too much on one thing, it doesn't come. And so you can have that balance.
I was just gonna say, I do think that's a good point. I guess I've not really thought of it like that. Like I've just thought, oh, that's gonna take away from the acting, and I'm gonna be like really depressed Monday to Wednesday, like doing my 9 to 5 or whatever. But I think, especially if it is something that doesn't feel like so bad,
Mm,
and I think being that even if it is a bit like, oh, I'm sat in an office, kind of like not moving about, whatever, but
yeah,
having that knowledge that, okay, but for the other days of the week, I'm going to be up, like going to auditions, like still getting that excitement, but without the concern of like, oh no, I can't afford this, that, and the other.
yeah, yeah,
So, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, that it's about, yeah. And the important point that you said, doing something that's not that bad, but also understanding the why you're doing what you're doing, and reminding yourself of why you're doing what you're doing, and not trying to find meaning and that fulfillment in that part-time job, because it's not going to be there to the extent that acting is going to give you, but you understand why you've made that decision. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Yeah.
Mm. And saying to yourself, okay, I've got this part time job. This is to fund my dreams. This is to fund me moving out. This is to fund making yourself aware of that so that on the days that do feel, because it's not all going to be rosy, because it's not acting,
Yeah.
it's not what you really want to do. So reminding yourself of why you're doing what you're doing,
I think
because
that's partly
mm,
what I found difficult as well, because I think I'm trying to find like a job that's gonna wow me and it will all be like admin assistant and I'll be like, oh,
yeah, yeah,
So as much as that might be someone else's thing, like for me, I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. Like it's not acting, but it doesn't have to be like a replacement. It's just a thing to support my finances.
not going to. It's never going to be able to replace that because it's not that. Yeah,
Mm,
exactly. So doing an admin job for you may drain you, but at least if you're doing something where it's still you're in the industry or you're still utilizing your skills to some extent and you have a hand in it, hey, that's the best case scenario of you not having to, do an office job, doing something that seriously will kill your creative, you know, juices or your motivation or yeah, there's nothing worse than that.
mm.
So finding that balance, yeah.
I think that's why I wanted to come on here because I was like, I know that especially when I started, before I kind of took that leap, not to be cliche, but I was like, I've not really seen much sort of media, I guess, of other people in my situation who've got those financial worries. Like you might see a little bit about it about some big celebrity who's an A-lister and they've made it, but it doesn't feel as,
Close.
connected, I guess, as someone who's in the same position. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there like yourself. I was one of them, but then I decided that I didn't want to do acting. That's a whole different story. But I was one of those people. I guess you could see. I guess you could just change the word. I want to be an actor to I want to pursue my dream. How
Mm,
do I pursue my dreams and still live? Because sometimes the dreams don't always manifest instantly. So if we just switch that up, this
100%.
will apply to anybody that wants to pursue their purpose or their path or what their heart's calling them to do or what they're passionate about. Anybody in that position can watch this and take something away and really
Mm,
see that it's all about balance. And when you
exactly.
yeah, and when you
And
alleviate,
ultimately,
yeah,
to follow their dreams, I was going to say, just follow your dreams.
follow your dreams. Yeah, follow your dreams. Follow what your heart is truly desiring even though you might have so many financial obligations, there are people out there that are grown families, kids, they're caring for somebody or they're thinking, gosh, I can never, I'm in a mental prison right now. Like, there's no way I could ever pursue my dreams. But if you work on something just a little bit, even if it's even if it's focusing on that dream for half an hour a day consistently, that's going to grow. If you keep planting a
Mm,
seed every single day consistently, it's going to do something.
absolutely. And even if it's not like, because I appreciate some people can't go to auditions all the time, like you say, people have other responsibilities, family, financial troubles, whatever. But even if you, I don't know, sat in your living room and you love to dance and you just get up and dance with your husband or whatever, it's something, and I, I think just completely neglecting that will not leave you fulfilled, and I feel like, is life worth living? Not to get
Yeah.
too deep, but is life worth living if you just completely, leave that out, what you love to do ultimately?
Yes. So true. So, this is why I say if you just focus half an hour on your dreams every single day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, it's going to do something eventually. So,
Definitely.
is there any advice that you would give to anybody, Mia, in starting out in the acting industry? Any tips?
I think just there are always going to be barriers, whether it's finance, whatever. But I think on the other side of that, there's always going to be a way to combat that, whether it's, I don't know, like just making your own theatre, for example, in my thing. Like I can just put up a camera now, film a monologue, post it somewhere. Someone might see it and be like, oh, I think you'd be great for my student film, or oh, I think you should audition for this. Like it doesn't need to be, oh, but I haven't got headshots, I haven't got this, I haven't got that, which is what I used to be like. You just do it. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't need to be perfect. You don't have to have learned all the lines or whatever, but just start because if you put that off, the more you're putting off like getting where you want to be. And yeah,
So true. Yeah, that is great advice. Yeah, just do it. Doesn't matter what where you are or where what you're doing or what how much you have. I have a lovely quote that I love. I say quite often is do what you can with what you've got. That's it. Do what you can with what you've got, and then let the rest sort itself out. And like you
I
said, if
totally
you
agree.
yeah, but if you've got a video, you don't have to just all. There's not just one route to getting jobs. You could post a video of yourself online, and someone could see it. Doesn't have to be the route of auditioning that gets you work. You could be seen in many different places. It's great advice, though, Mia.
Absolutely.